I am pumped to have this incredible panel up here. We've got 30 minutes where we're going to share actionable ideas from these women who are leading incredible businesses with the goal of giving you some takeaways that might be relevant and resonant for what you're doing and what you're building. My goal is to leave a few moments for questions at the end. So if you've got questions that pop up, write them down, and I'll do my best to make sure we get to those. So let me start with introducing my panelists. First, we have Cheryl Nash, who is the president of APL at InvestCloud, Andre Moore, the president at Integrated Partners, and Abby Salome, Chief Growth Officer at RFG Advisory. I could spend 30 full minutes introducing the incredible work and the accolades and recognition that these women have received, but I want to make sure that you're getting their insight. So please check them out online, follow them on social media, stick around after the panel if you have any questions, because that's where you're going to get the most value, is by speaking to them directly, asking them questions, and having them share their experiences. So I want to start by talking about what I see sort of in the industry as a great marketing mismatch. So we at FICOM Partners, we published some consumer research last year that showed a very big difference in how consumers today are finding advisors and how advisors are generating new clients. So when we talk to advisors, and this has been brought up many times throughout the day today, most advisors today still count on referrals as their number one source of net new assets, number one source of new client growth. But when we surveyed consumers, only 29% of the consumers that we surveyed who had a financial advisor, only 29% required a referral to hire that financial advisor. And over 45% of those consumers that were surveyed actually hired their financial advisor based on digital marketing. So what I'd love to know from each of you, because clearly that represents a mismatch, is sort of, I see that as a blind spot for advisors. So what do you see as a blind spot with the advisors that you work with who are really struggling to leverage marketing as a greater driver of organic growth? Abby, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the mismatch that you reference is real, and I think it's going to continue to grow. I think it was a recent McKinsey study that actually demonstrated through the data that at the same time, more people, consumers, are gaining more wealth and requiring an advisor, the number of advisors in the industry is actually shrinking. So there's going to be a shortage of advisors and yet an increase of those who need an advisor. So the mismatch that you're talking about is going to continue to just get bigger and bigger, and that gap is going to become more prominent. So what we tell our advisors and what we help them with is finding the new ways to conduct client acquisition through digital methods. Yes, the old tried and true methods still work, referrals still work, events still work, believe it or not, seminars still work, but with the changing demographic of the client profile and the investor coming up, those old methods may not resonate. So it's really important that advisors take advantage of the new tools, resources, technology that you're seeing here today, that Snappy Kraken is rolling out, to be able to engage with these prospects in the way that they want to receive that engagement. And that's through all the things that we all know: digital marketing, omni-channel marketing, taking advantage of AI and personalization through a myriad of methods.
I think that the McKinsey data, if I remember, was a staggering number, the shortage, right?
It was no, I think it was like 100,000
advisors. There's an incredible opportunity for all of you in the room that are here and your advisors and you're working with clients. Andre, the work that you do at Integrated Partners, you've got a lot of advisors that you support. What's the biggest blind spot that you see for advisors today?
I think that it's crafting the right story. And really, as an advisor, thinking about, what do I want for myself? Who do I want to be as an advisor? What's my why? What's my value proposition? And really putting that out there into the world. And so figuring out the right way to craft that message and taking feedback from clients. So we really help our advisors figure out, who are they? What is their unique brand? And what are they bringing to their clients that maybe others are not doing? And then how do you take that value and magnify it and create marketing pieces that are communicating to your clientele? And so I think advisors have a hard time with sometimes like a scarcity mindset. I want to make sure that my website speaks to anybody who may come to it. And, we talk a lot about niche marketing and who are you. And so finding your people and then creating messaging uniquely for your people is a really great way to stand out and then have marketing pieces that are different from what everybody else is doing.
And that's a common theme. I've heard that today throughout the sessions, but like, how do you actually help advisors to understand their why and their who?
So it's a lot of asking really great questions. Why did you get into this business? What excites you about the work that you are doing? Like, tell us a really great story about a client that you recently served. And some people will say things like, I put together this like really complex tax structure and trust and all of these things, and I helped the next generation understand what was coming to them. Or they might say something like, I solved this unique operational problem for my client so they can better understand their picture, and that feels really great. So we're going to hone into Henrys who are getting stock options from their companies because it's complex and very operationally heavy, and they don't understand that. So think about in your last month, what interactions with your clients really excited you, really made you think hey, this is why I get up and do this every single day, and then find a great marketing partner to help you craft a whole message around that.
Yeah, I think that's important. Asking for help, right? Raising your hand, whether it's someone that you have access to internally, seeking a coach, reaching out to any of the fabulous speakers, whether they're advisors or vendors that have been on stage today. It's actually not as easy as it seems to understand your personal why you do what you do. It takes someone to sort of put a mirror up, ask you the right questions, be curious, dig further, to help you really understand that why that can be so relevant to the people that you serve, and then to understand how to help you identify your ideal client profile. So that sort of brings me to my next question, which I'll start with you, Cheryl, which is about, we're talking about the importance of vulnerability and authenticity. FICOM, we call that the new school mindset, how we're showing up in a human first and heart-centered way as just the best way to create meaningful connections that ultimately drive to growth. But then thinking about how to do that at scale. At InvestCloud, you have tremendous experience. You're an enterprise platform that's all about scale.
Right.
And so how would you recommend to this audience to think about how they can take what we're talking about, the need to show up authentically, to tell really meaningful stories, to get connected to your why? How can they do that at scale?
So great question. So just to what was just said already, I think to get it to scale, right, the personal why, getting closer, better relationships, it starts with technology. And I think when you use technology as a tool and you use it in the right way, so you collect all the data that you can on your investor as an advisor, so my advisor, before they meet with us, they sit in their drive when they come over to our house, they literally go through every fact that they have on us. They know how many kids I have, they know how many grandkids I have, they know everything, and they'll walk in the house and they'll be like, "Did you know it? Isn't he going to turn 1 next month?" Right? So they get to know us personally, and I think technology is the only way to make that scale. So some of the things that we think about, you think about what the investors know today, right? They know Amazon, they know Netflix, they know all that data comes to them. It tells them what they should be interested in. It tells them everything about themselves. So you want to make that experience as easy as possible. We like to say we simplify the complexities. So it's all around bringing the right data, pulling the data together, data at the right point so you know exactly when to use that data, and then having that data at the advisor's fingertips so they can have a personal connection to your point, right? The why, the personal connection to their end investor, which I think then drives better referrals, right? There's a lot of things that actually does, but technology is the enabler with everything that advisors do to be able to get them to where they need to go, and the right technology with data, data integrated and all the data points that you need at your fingertips.
Technology is, of course, a big component of having that at your fingertips and getting the scale that you seek. There's also sort of the marketing component. So maybe, Abby, you can speak to that with RFG having the number of advisors across the country in different locations. How are you sort of breaking that scale issue? How can you help all of your advisors to show up authentically, but in a way that's hyper scalable?
It's a great question, and it's one that we talk about all the time and I get really excited about, because what we've been able to do because we support all of their marketing from the home office. However, they are branded independently. They own their clients, they own their brand. So similar to what Andre was saying, we go through the exercise, we call it Pathway to Growth, where we go through a digital exercise with them that really extracts out what's important to them. We create their brand for them, or in some cases, enhance their brand when they join us if they have a brand already. We build their websites for them and manage their websites on the back end to maximize SEO and AEO. Thank you, Liz Fritz, for that term. And if you were in the AI panel yesterday, you would have heard me say that we use tools like ChatGPT to build a chat bot for each one of our advisors so they have their own authentic brand in the chatbot to make it easier for them to even self-serve and write content, or we can self-serve, we can do the serving and write the content for them. At the same time, we use Canva for design work that knows their brand, their style, their tone, their colors, their images, etc. So we can build packages. For example, this morning we announced on a town hall a new client appreciation package. It's a series of emails and follow-up surveys and invitations to an event and a whole host of social media things that is so easy for us to just turn on for our advisors because we have those technologies built and make it easy for them to then customize them to their own voice. And we teach them how to do it, or we do it on their behalf.
But the input is very important, right? Because
you have to get the input.
Yeah, crap in, crap out.
Right.
Seeing a lot of that with AI.
Yeah. Same thing with data.
Right.
Like if you're not enriching the data, or you are enriching the data, but you're not checking to make sure that the data is right, then you're not going to get the results, the output that you desire. So yes, technology is an enabler. It can't replace you. However, it can really speed up the time with which you can do all these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kendra in the last session did a beautiful job of talking about how AI-generated content is really going to cannibalize a lot of the content that everyone in this room is creating. She sort of said that financial 101 content, but what it will do is enable the ability to create a significant amount of content if you have the right inputs and if you're thinking about telling really personal, unique stories. So there's been a ton of discussion at this conference about AI, naturally, and what I'd love to hear from some of the women on this panel is sort of what's beyond the basic AI. So we've heard a lot about content creation, which is not necessarily innovative, it's efficient, right? But what are you sort of seeing, Andre, from like strategic business transformation? Since AI is really reshaping everything that we're doing, from client segmentation to teaming to advisor roles to all the things, what type of sort of positive AI-driven business model disruption are you leading at Integrated Partners?
Yeah, so it goes back to actually what you were talking about, which is we would call it personalization at scale. And what we really try to focus on with our advisors is having really impactful client meetings. And so there is this wonderful content creation component of AI and also allowing for personalization at scale. Like, hey, let me send Abby an article that she really cares about, or I'm gonna send you an article about Rent the Runway. Because we talked about that, and AI can help remind you about things that are important to your clients. And you should use that to create memorable moments, make stronger relationships. But we're actually also using AI to help our advisors prepare for client meetings. So I think all of you know that asking really great questions is a way to help a client understand the value that you provide. And then how do you magnify the value of your relationship with your client? By continuing to ask really good questions. And so it's going to, for us, allow our advisors to have a more impactful human relationship with their clients than focusing on like, hey, we got to do these operational things and we have to do all of those things. So we use AI to help us understand what are the best questions to ask these types of these clients. So then you help them understand like, hey, maybe I'm not okay in the situation that I'm in today. And then we come in with a solution set, and then you become the hero of their story. You create raving fans, you're having these personalized connections. And so it's totally transforming the way that you're operating your client experience.
And are you building those models? Are they proprietary, or are you working with existing technology?
Yeah, so we're building those models internally for our advisors because there's obviously pros and cons to everything in life, right? So you got to make sure that you're using AI, you understand the AI platforms that you are using, you're protecting yourself and your clients. So we have decided to build in partnership with a firm called Arca, which has been amazing.
Okay, wonderful. InvestCloud has always been known for sort of being a leader from the front from an innovation perspective. So what are you seeing on the horizon? What are you building internally at InvestCloud that's really going to disrupt the business model?
So I'll start with AI, because I think some of the things that we're leveraging AI for is we've used a firm called Glean, a platform called Glean, that actually could go out if you're an advisor and you say, hey, I met with this client 3 months ago, I had a presentation that I gave them, quickly find it for me. Like Glean goes through your system and finds it right away. Like they're just simple things like that it does. But I'd say and we're also leveraging Zox for AI note taking, right? So you think about how simple that is. You're sitting in client meetings, you don't have to have somebody take notes anymore. It can automate that process. But one cool thing that I think we're doing right now with AI is you think about your technology platform and you think about testing, like you put code out there all the time, right? All of us are doing new things on our platforms. We actually are leveraging AI for testing. So it'll actually read the use cases, it makes the use cases and test cases better, and then it tests the code for us, which makes the code go faster to market. And it actually makes us, I'd say, be smarter in some of the things that we're doing. And then lastly, one of the big things that we're focused on right now, and when you think about just from where the industry is today, is around private markets and alts. So how do you leverage some of the AI capabilities that are out there to help understand if your end investor or your advisor can actually start being more innovative and give some of those different types of securities in this market today that's a little bit uncertain to their end investor. So there's a lot that we're working on right now, especially in that space.
And what does advisor adoption look like for that? Like, what are you seeing advisors pick up the most?
With alts, or just?
From what you're doing, what you just mentioned.
So I think it's funny because when we sit and talk to our advisors, as we do all the time, there's different camps, I'd say, at advisors. The younger advisor is so excited about what we're doing and willing to take on some of the new things that we're building and, do new, I'd say, even think about trading differently. Like I'll give my trading to the home office versus me doing the trading myself. So it's really what we're finding is the newer capabilities, you've got to find that group of advisors who are willing to do the new things. There's going to be those advisors who are very comfortable doing what they're doing, and they'll just continue to do that, and that's fine, right? They continue to do that. They're not really looking to build some new capabilities or do some of the newer things because they like, being in control. But you find those advisors that are willing to do new things and you really focus on them, and you could really change some of the trajectory of the work that they're doing.
So Abby, Andre talked a little bit about client engagement and the opportunity to really deepen client engagement at scale. And traditional client engagement is sort of, quarterly reviews, annual meetings, but as we are in the digital age and we have the great wealth transfer happening and more and more younger clients are leveraging and working with financial advisors and they expect different experiences, what are you seeing across the RFG landscape that's sort of counterintuitive when it comes to advisors that are doing different things to drive deeper client engagement?
That's a great question. And before I do that, I just want to add one thing onto the last AI question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because I think there's so many use cases for leveraging AI. We're using it to build workflows within our system. So for example, new client onboarding workflows, death of a client workflows, training modules for our new employees. Like there's so much that you don't even think of that AI can really play a role in helping you put together to make your business run more operationally efficiency outside of just even the marketing landscape.
Yeah, exactly.
Like infrastructure wise, so it's really interesting to start looking at the ways that it can really drive operational efficiencies. But back to client engagement, I think the whole point of client engagement it's the same that it's always been. Like, how can you connect with clients or prospects in a way that's meaningful to them, speaking to them about things that are important to them? So by creating different personas, using even AI to understand what's important to that persona, and then creating content that resonates with, let's say, 5 different personas, and the content and the engagement methods need to be omni-channel. So it needs to be email, it needs to be social, it needs to be video, it should be a podcast, you could do a webinar. So there's all of these different ways that you can engage with your client, and it could be in-person events. But the point is that you actually have to do all of it, because you want to be able to engage with clients and prospects in the way that they want to digest the information and be engaged. So, you know, there are easy ways to do some of this. We take my why videos and we put them into a tool, and it slices and dices it up for you into 10 different video snips with the LinkedIn, with the social media quotes already available for you. You just need to review it and say, yeah, that sounds like me, or no, that doesn't sound like me. And then you have a series of social media that you can launch over the course of the next 2 weeks that speak to that audience using your My Why video and with the right social media quotes or content. So I think it's just a matter of getting comfortable, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because nobody knows how to use this stuff. And the first thing you need to do is actually just do it. It's fun. It's actually really fun, right? And you're going to become addicted to just playing around with it. I know I have. Have you?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
All the time.
It's like a collaborator.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a thought partner too. Like, it really is.
My best friend is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
She knows me so well right now.
I think it can be overwhelming for some people in the audience to hear us, any of us on the stage, say you have to do all the things, right? So I think it's really about doing the right things for your ideal client and showing up where they are and staying super focused there. We've got 8 minutes left, so I'm going to ask one question and then I'm going to open it up to the audience. I'll have time for probably 2 questions, so get ready to raise your hand if you have something that you'd like to ask these ladies. I just want to end my questions with sort of getting some of your thoughts about the future. One of the purposes of this panel, Visionary Voices, was to really understand from each of you like where you see the wealth management industry heading. So Cheryl, I'll start with you, but sort of what's one of your predictions for what the wealth management industry is going to look like in 5 years that maybe some of the people in this room aren't currently prepared for?
So I think that in 5 years from now, the wealth management industry will have a lot more women advisors, hopefully. We hope. But I also think that the wealth management industry in 5 years should have a lot more automation, right? So AI will be embedded in everything that we do, a lot more operational efficient. So it doesn't mean not having, you know, people in roles, but people doing smarter things and different things and better things. But I think we're all going to get smarter in the next 5 years because of technology and because of what we're seeing this AI phenomenon be. And I'm really excited for that, because I think all of us are going to be in a much better place delivering what we need from a personalization to our end investors.
So more women advisors and more automation.
More automation, yes.
Andre, what about you?
I would agree with both of those. And then, you know, I would say that this is a relationship business at its core. And the next 5 years will really focus on the relationship even more so. And how are you engaging with your clients? How are you becoming an even bigger component of their life? Like really becoming that quarterback, that expert coordinator of experts. And how are you leveraging the right tools so you can do that at scales? But really, you know, we talk to our advisors all the time. How do you become the hero of your clients' lives? And you're that first call when something goes wrong. And I think that those who show up authentically and find their why and do that will start to create a rift between those who don't, right, and those who continue to do things the way that they always have been done. And to your point, that's okay and that's great, but those who really focus on the human side of our business and start to offer more services outside of just the traditional managing your assets, those will be the firms that will thrive and set themselves apart.
Yeah, I think so too. I think another potential beautiful sort of implication. I think a lot about like first order, second order, third order implications of some of the innovation and technology, but I do think that there's going to be a wave back to human in-person interactions,
Yes.
which is really beneficial and additive to everybody in this room, because people are really going to want to know exactly who they're interacting with and who they can trust, and that's going to become quite difficult to do online unless you're really, really, really smart and focused with your content, which is an opportunity. But I think that that's going to be a great outcome that sort of speaks to the humanness of this industry. Abby, what about you? What do you think? What's your 5-year prediction?
I completely agree with everything the ladies have said and yourself. We're talking about financial well-being, and I think there's always going to be a need to have a person-to-person relationship when you're talking about people and their money. But it's not about the money, it's about what that money can be used towards. It's about behavioral finance, it's about coaching, it's about therapy sessions with your clients, saving them from themselves in some cases. So I think the future of the industry, because technology will help us be so operationally efficient, is really one where that coaching and therapy becomes even more important. And to your point, like, you're the hero of your clients, and you can offer things now that you haven't been able to offer, like estate plans, that you can get paid on for delivering to your clients by leveraging firms like wealth.com. So I think there's a lot more wide spectrum of solutions that are available for you to serve your clients to help them look more holistically across the picture and get paid for doing it. And I also think, in addition to women advisors, yes, we need more of them, the female investor, the female client, we have spent a ton of time this past year and a great number of dollars and research looking at female clients, the wealth transfer that's going into the hands of women, which is already starting and expected to be $30 trillion by 2030, and how women want to engage with a financial advisor based on what's important to them at different stages of their life cycle. And it is very different than the typical relationship that an advisor has with his or her clients today. So this isn't just about female advisors, it's actually about educating, providing the resources and the tools for advisors, men and women, to be able to retain their existing female clients if and when they get a divorce or their spouse dies, but then also attract and acquire new female clients who are inheriting this tremendous sum of money. So I think the market will look a lot different.
Yeah. None of us can predict the future, but I appreciate the three of you sort of playing along with me and sharing some of your predictions. So we do have time for 1 or 2 questions. Where are they? Can't see anything.
We can't see a thing, by the way. So shout it out.
I see you right there. Thank you.
That's a great question. So we upload our My Why content and our pathway to growth that we work on with them into the chatbot, along with any public speaking that they've done, any presentations that they've given, any blogs that they've written. And it really does capture their voice very clearly. So it's really not difficult, and it could take all of maybe 5 minutes.
Well, I hope that if you do have additional questions that pop up, you will take the time to seek out Cheryl, Andre, and Abby, as they will be here after the session, because like I said, they have tremendous experience. They are leaders in their space, driving innovation across the industry. So I hope you'll take advantage of having them here and asking them for their insights. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Thanks to all of you for joining the session.